This is going to be my little annex to the sex charge sigils for manifestation, because I did leave out a factor. Although I did say do it how you feel you want to do it. I left out a factor because it's intrinsic to my nature. Now that I manifest this way, I didn't think about it, and it's because the last step would be to forget about your sigil. Forget about what you willed, what you put out into the universe as your will. Mine was somebody's going to offer me dinner tonight, and I immediately forgot about it, and therefore I forgot about it in the show. And that's a perfect example of me actually being a manifester in motion. That is what I didn't forget about that because I forgot that's a step. I literally do that. I do this. So that's a part of my step I don't think about because now I'm thinking about it, but that's okay because I'm okay with that one going by, but it probably won't, and I will let you know if it doesn't, as proof, or maybe I won't. Just keep the mystery alive. So when you do a manifestation, because you're not wanting or needing whatever it is you're asking for, because you know you are willing it. That's why I use the words, it is my will. In fact, when you think of a magician, the powerful tool of the magician is the willpower. That is part of the mind wrapped up in the motion of beginning the action and the action. So you will it. It will happen. Not even it's going to, not I ask for it, I want it. Even though, go ahead and use those words on your, baby steps. On your baby steps way to manifesting. But, it might be easy for you if you are doing a masturbation technique to easily forget about it. But the easiest way to forget about it, really, you don't try and put it out of your mind, because that's just going to bring it up in your mind. If you don't know anything about, meditation and shit, like, look those things up and find a way to be in more control of your mind. But last step that I did forget in that video was to, you got to let it go. Non-attachment is key to most everything in life. Everything changes. Let it go. Don't worry about it. If it doesn't come, and you think, oh, it never came. You thought about it. Like, someday it probably is going to come once it fully integrates inside of you as really being something. If you completely don't believe it and forget it at the same time, it'll do whatever it wants to do. But if it doesn't come, human error is common in everything. And the error there would be that you didn't believe. Those who don't believe in magic will never see it. And that's true, because magic and the emerald tablets and a lot of esoteric wisdom, all this, a lot of people who put these secret truths in place, put them in such a way that they are hidden, and that they are metaphors, and that they are symbols for something that is more real. Base metal to gold, that's not what it really is. We can turn metal into gold. Right now, it's something that humans literally can do, but it's not like, it takes so long and it's so costly that it's impractical to the fullest extent. So why do that just for that? It's a metaphor. It's to trip the opportunists and the lower vibrations from misusing such powerful tools, because many people who are low vibe become wrapped up in no, I'm not gonna even make a statement like that, but there are people who become wrapped up in the dogmatic, like, word for word element, and so things are coded. I wanted to show you, if I can find it. Here it is. All right, so here's the Emerald Tablets. This is the book that I have. It's very it's thin. Look at that. It's nothing. The one that I have actually is quite wonderful. It's, it's got the translation of the actual writing in the tongue of Thoth, or, the entity that wrote it, but also has a really great side-by-side. So here's Thoth here. And over here, like where I highlighted right there, is a more understandable. I find that the Emerald Tablets are pretty easy, but I'm a very language-oriented, like, super mutable air sign person who finds language to be maybe difficult to speak here, but find it easy. But I find it not too hard to understand, but getting something where there's a translation, or literally just going on YouTube, there's so much there that will explain each book for you. This is something to own. This is something to own, and tidbit by tidbit. I mean, if you start to get into this, or just in general, Hermeticism is quite valuable. It is quite relevant to us right now to empower us with ancient, occult, esoteric, somewhat hidden and secretive knowledge and techniques, how to use it every day. I mean, this is gold stuff. And I know people who don't even know what the Emerald Tablets are. And my story about how I magically, ironically, was introduced to them is for another video, but quite fucking magical, and happened about 5 or 6 years ago. And I didn't pick this back up till, a year or two ago, in a way. I mean, I've always been in touch with them, but not fully with like a physical book. And it's gold. It's the gold. I'll read you, there's different books, and one of my favorites would be, and it does appeal. I'm sure it will become a lesser favorite once I get into a different book. I like them all, but one of the tablets, the tablet 6, is the Key of Magic. And I'll just read a small tidbit. In this tablet, Thoth speaks of magic using the term to denote the usage of developed power in the warfare between forces of order and disorder. As above, so below, negative, positive. This warfare has continued since the fall of man in the first cycle, and will continue until the cosmic consciousness is ready to pass through Suntal, which isn't translated, but, look it up. And literally they do go in here and talk about white brotherhood, black brotherhood, which is not literal. That it means white, like as in light and dark, good and bad, archetypes. And they talk about the great masters. If you haven't heard of the halls of Amenti, or the 7, or the different people, if you haven't heard of Saint Germain, Mount Shasta, I mean, these you don't have to believe in if you don't want to, but they're still fascinating and help if you like to have visuals in your manifestations. You might want to tap into some of these ascended masters, these masters, or these ideas of masters, if you want to think of it that way. And and it talks about the secrets, and it's real. When it comes down to it, it's really almost like intuitive stuff that you already know in a lot of ways. But they do talk about breathing techniques and different. When I was introduced to the Emerald Tablets, I was introduced to tablet 7 about, well, I think it was magic, but I was introduced specifically to the 7 lords. Now, this is really important to me, but I find that I don't think it's blasphemy or anything, but that it's very sacred to talk about in a way, because not everybody should be using this information. But the 7 lords basically represent just the 7 laws of the universe. And in fact, it's interesting that the 7 lords start with Lord 3 through 9. So we're talking about the first 3 being maybe what people call the godhood. I mean, they have other ways to describe it or whatever, but the 7 lords would represent 7 laws, the different things that govern the entire universe. And so that goes right back down into the fact that these things are put in metaphors and made and personified in ways on purpose, and not just to keep out the ignorant who would misuse, but a lot of it has to do with that you're personifying these elements and things, just like making sigils and such, in our kind of whatever the fuck we are, avatar, human, alien things. It helps us construct the images, construct the belief, and therefore empowers us with an ability to form a substance of whatever that is in our thoughts and use it to our advantage. Thanks for tuning into my annex to sex using the sigil for manifestation. Correction on that last thing. Forget about it. Much love.